chapter 6. I don't feel very good about it. That's okay. That's okay. It's informative. Learning. You're gonna watch it. Watch it. Maybe you'll learn something. Hope you do better on your test. Yay! Grades.
Hey, it's Mr. B. Here's your chapter 6 practice test. I didn't make it funny this time. I'm out of jokes. All right, so number 1 says we're going to solve this with a 5D process or by writing and solving an equation, but either way we have to define our variable. So the perimeter of a rectangle is 8 inches. The length of one side is 3 times the length of the shortest side. What are the lengths of the two sides? So I'm going to go ahead and draw first the rectangle. So we know we have a rectangle. We know the perimeter is 8 inches. And we know the length of one side is 3 times the length of the shortest side. So I'm going to call the shorter side x. And I'm going to call this one 3x. Because this is 3 times bigger than this. So x is the shorter side. I've defined my variable. And now I'm going to go ahead and just use the equation. So since I know the perimeter of a rectangle is this side plus this side plus this side plus this side, we just add up all 4 sides. I'm going to create an equation. And my equation for the perimeter would be that x plus 3x plus x plus 3x should equal the 8 inches that are the perimeter. So now I can solve it. So I'm going to combine like terms first. So x plus x is 2x. 3x plus 3x is 6x, so it's going to make 8x total. And our last step to get the x by itself is to divide by that coefficient in the front, because this makes a giant 1. And on this side, it actually is going to make a 1 as well, which is just a coincidence in this case. So x equals 1 inch. And then the other side, the bigger side, the 3x, would equal 3. So there we go. All right, moving down to number 2. We have a mystery spinner that is 80% black, while the rest is blue and green. If 1/20th of the spinner is green, how much is blue? Show your work or explain completely. So we know that the spinner, the total spinner, which is number 2, has to be 100%. And you could do that. You can do it in fraction form. You can do it has to be 1 in fraction form, or it has to be 1 in decimal form. But I'm going to go ahead. We'll treat it as a percent. So since I know that it's 80% black, I can take that away from my 100%, and I know that I have 20% left over. So 20% of my spinner needs to be split up into green and blue. Now I don't know I don't know if they're split up evenly or not until I look over here where it says 1/20th of the spinner is green. So I need to figure out what 1/20th is as a percent. A couple different ways we can go here. One is to divide 1 by 20, which is going to give me 0.05. The other option is to figure out how to make this out of 100, which would be that we would multiply both top and bottom by 5, and that'll give me 5 out of 100. And we know percents are out of 100, so this is 5%. So I know that 5% of the spinner is green, which means that the remaining percent of the spinner that is blue needs to be 15%. So 15% is blue. All right. Number 3 here. We have this nice diagram. We have to figure out which expression is greater. If I look on mat A, I have an x, a negative x, and an x. And I have 2 negatives down here, 2 negative x's. You have a positive 1 and then a negative 1 over here. And on mat B, we have a negative x, positive 1, negative 1, negative 1, and then 4 positives and a negative. So legal moves that I can commit here. I can make 0 pairs. So actually on this side, I'm going to go ahead and take the 2 positives and 2 negative x's and make 0 pairs. I'm also going to be able to make 0 pairs with, it's going to be a little tricky to draw this, but I'm going to make it with the positive 1 and the negative 1. Get those guys out of here. On this side, I can do 0 pairs with 3 positives and 3 negatives. And now I can remove balanced sets of negative 1x. So there's a negative 1x, there's negative 1x, get them both out. And on this side now I have 0, and this side I have 2. So we know, since 2 is greater than 0, that map B is greater. All right, moving on now to number 4. Question 4 says, represent the solution for the variable described below as an inequality on a number line and with symbols. So, all of the competitors in the extreme ironing competition are at least 18 years old, but younger than 14. So, we're going to go ahead and we're going to represent the age of the competitors as X, because we don't know what it is. It could be, it's within a wide range. And we know that it is at least 18 years old. So we know that X needs to be greater than 18. But that word at least means you could also be 18. So we're also going to include a equal to or equal to. So it's X is greater than or equal to 18. I'm reading right to left here. And on the other side, I'm going to put the younger than 45. So younger means less than. It means you cannot actually be that age. So I don't want to use a less than or equal to. I just want it to be less than, because I need to be younger than 45. Now we're going to go ahead and do that on a graph. It's a little tough because I gave you numbers that are really far apart. So over here we can put 18. And I'm going to go ahead and we'll just go up by, do I even want to go up by 2s? I'm just going to show it to you. I'm not going to draw the inside. We could include the lines in between, but for now I'm just going to show the endpoints. So 18 is going to be a closed circle because it is greater than or equal to, and it's going to go to the right because those are the greater numbers. And 45 is going to be an open circle because it's just less than, and that's going to go to the left. We're going to fill in all the space in between, and that shows all the ages for the people in the extreme ironing competition. All right, number 5. The diagram below represents a sequence for an acrobat on a tightrope. The variable represents the unknown length of a trick. Write and solve an equation to figure out how far the acrobat travels during each trick. Show how you know your answer is correct. So we got to write an equation. We know these two things are equal. So 10 plus x plus 2 plus x plus 2 has to equal 36. I'm going to combine like terms. The x and the x make 2x. And then the 10, the 2, and the 2 are going to make 14. I can remove balanced sets of 14 from both sides. That gives me 2x equals 22. And now I need to divide both sides by 2. And I get x equals 11. Now the last part of that problem said show how you know your answer is correct. We can go and we'll actually plug the 11 back into the original equation. So 10 plus 11 plus 2 plus 11 plus 2 equals 36. 10 plus 11 is 21, plus 2 plus 11 plus 2 equals 36. 21 plus 2 gives me 23. Oh, not 33, sorry. 23. Plus 11 plus 2 equals 36. 23 plus 11 gives me 34, plus 2 equals 36. And we can tell right there that 36 equals 36, so it is correct. All right, moving down to 6. Alf solved a problem, and his equation was 5 times the quantity of x minus 4 plus 2x equals 14. They want us to check his equation using his solution, and his solution was x equals 5. So just like we did in the last one, actually, at the end of that problem, we're just going to plug the 5 in. We're going to see if it comes out to a statement that's true. If it's true, then we know that that is a solution. If it comes out to something that's false, like 10 equals negative 4, then we'll know that it's not the correct solution. So 5, I'm going to plug in this 5 here for x, plus 2 times 5. I'm plugging it in again. Do the parentheses first, so 5 minus 4 is going to give me 1. Plus, we'll leave that for now. 2 times 5 equals 14. Let's multiply. 5 times 1 gives me 5. 2 times 5 gives me 10. and we ended up with 15 equals 14. So what does that mean? It means this is not a solution because it comes out to something that is not true. 15 is not equal to 14. All right. Number 7, write an expression to represent John's weight if he is 30 pounds more than twice Ed's weight. If Ed weighs 120 pounds, how much does John weigh? So John's weight, he's 30 pounds more than twice Ed's weight. So I'm going to call Ed X. And if Ed is X, then John is going to be 30 pounds more than twice Ed. So twice Ed would be 2X plus 30. So there's my expression for Ed's weight. Now, how much does John weigh? We got to figure this out. We know that Ed weighs 120 pounds. So X equals 120. So we can actually go plug that in for our X over here. I'm going to have 2 times 120 plus 30. 2 times 120 would give me 240 plus 30. And that means that John must weigh 270 pounds. Moving on to number 8, which are just 2 nice little equations here on the back. Oh, go down here. Just solve for X. So let's work through this. A, 4 times, and this is all part of 8, X minus 1 equals 2 plus X plus 4. Distribute the 4. It's usually your first step if there's distributive property. It's going to give me 4X minus 4 equals 2 plus X plus 4. Combine like terms, so the 2 and the 4 can combine, and we have 4X minus 4 equals X plus 6. Now I need to get my X's all on one side. So what I do is I need to add something to this side so that this X will go away. When we know that if I add a negative X, or subtract X, depending on how you want to think about it, this will make a 0 pair. I guess adding negative X is good for 0 pairs. And then on this side, we will have 3X minus 4 equals 6. I'm then going to add 4 to both sides. And that's going to give me 3X equals 10. My last step here is to divide both sides by 3. And I get X equals, just 10 over 3 is cool. That's also, we can think of that as 3 1/3. All right. And then finally, and I'm just going to go ahead and squeeze it in over here, save a little paper. For B, X equals 3X minus 11. We need to get the X's all on the same side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to subtract the X, because I think a lot of you might want to go that direction. That's going to give me 0 on the left, 2X minus 11 on the right. I'm seeing a lot of students get stuck at this point because they don't know what to do. Everything's on this side. Just move your constants over to the other side. Add 11. That makes a 0 pair. Puts 11 on the left and 2X on the right. And now we're right where we want to be. Divide by 2. That's a giant 1. And X equals 11 over 2. Or you can think of that as 5.5. Both ways are cool. All right, that was your practice test. Let me or Mr. Goldman know if you have any questions.